it's Laura. Welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be my July. I was very good in July. Not very good, but I was pretty good. I only bought 12 books, which is unusual for me. My book hauls have been 20 plus books lately, every single month. So today's is a lot better. So let's just get into the book haul. I have some exciting books here, some things that I am really excited to get into. So let's just start. The first book that I have here is Isn't It Romantic by Lyssa Kay Adams. This is the, what is it, the fourth book in the Bromance Book Club series, which is a romance series. You don't need to read them in order, but there is a character in all of the other books called the Russian, who is amazing and I absolutely love. And this is the Russian story. Finally, we get to know more about him. We get his story. I loved this. I already read it. You can see my tabs in there. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This was my first 5-star book in the series, and I loved everything about this. Well, I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to go into it here. This isn't a wrap up. But in this, we're following Vlad, aka the Russian, and Vlad is kind of in a marriage of convenience, but he really loves his wife and wants a real marriage from her. So of course the Bromance Book Club helps him out as he tries to figure out a way to get his wife back. Like I said, absolutely loved it. It was so funny. It was so much fun. I love these group of guys so much. I definitely recommend the Romance Book Club series in general, even though not all of the romances have worked for me, but group dynamic, kind of found family, what gets me every time. So highly recommend. And of course I had to pick this up. I pre-ordered it, and as soon as it got to me, I read it in like a day. So loved it. The next book I have here is A Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. This is the second book in the Farseer trilogy, which I am currently a part of a read-along for the Farseer trilogy with Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany and Ashley from A Bookish Realm. So of course I had to pick up the second book. We're going to be reading this in July and discussing it. Haven't started this yet. I really need to actually today start this book, but I'm excited to read it. It's just so massive, and like from what I've read from the first book, Robin Hobb is very long-winded. But I am very excited to continue on to see how Fitz's story continues, and I'm excited to dive more into Robin Hobb's admittedly beautiful writing. I really enjoyed her writing from the first book, so I'm excited to see how this one goes. The next book I have here, I finally picked up a copy of Tempests Wrath by James S.A. Corey. This is the 8th book in the Expanse series, which is a adult sci-fi space opera series. Have really enjoyed what I've read of it so far. I was a little upset by the 7th book simply because the 7th book had a huge time jump. Like, we go 30 years into the future, and I was just like not okay with that, especially when you're used to following certain characters, and now it's, I don't know. But I'm really excited to check out the 8th book. Anyway, the next 4 books I have here are books that I picked up at Barnes & Noble. I went there specifically for 1 book and came back with 5. Tempests Wrath was one of them as well. But this is the book that I went in to the store for, which is The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. I really wanted to read this summer because it takes place in summer. It is the 4th book, although this is something I don't understand. So this is like, technically it says that it's the 4th book in the Truly Devious series. However, it's a standalone book in the series. Does that make sense to you? Because it doesn't make sense to me. And I've seen this happen before where it's like, oh, this is book number 3 in this series, but it's actually a standalone. So you can, like, I don't understand. And I haven't read this yet, so I can't say if like you really need to read the first 3 books before you read this one, but the publisher says it's a standalone, so therefore I would assume you don't need to. You know what I mean? But I would just think if you want to be familiar with the characters and everything that's going on, you should read the first 3 books, but I can't be the one to tell you that. So I don't know. I have to read this book first and then I'll let you know. But this follows Stevie Bell, who is an amateur detective, and I believe she just, in the first 3 books, she ended up solving like this huge cold case. And so I think she gets called in to investigate another cold case called the Box in the Woods murders, and it takes place at this summer camp. So she ends up going to the summer camp and trying to figure out this mystery. It sounds really fun. I love that it's set at a summer camp, and I'm really excited to check this one out because I love Stevie Bell. I think that like the rest of her friends show up in here as well. Yes, it says as long as she can bring along her friends from Ellingham Academy. So it's gonna be the whole crew at this summer camp solving this mystery. And I'm very excited about it. And I absolutely adore the cover of this. I think it's so cool. So really excited to read this one. Hopefully, Bella. Bella. What are you doing? What are you doing in here? You know you're not supposed to be in here. No, don't, no. Okay, dog interrupting. What was I saying? Excited to read this, basically. That's all I was saying. So while I was at Barnes & Noble, I ended up picking up a few more things. First of all, I saw this, The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He. I like was interested in this, but not fully interested in this, you know what I mean? Like I thought maybe I'd pick it up from the library or something like that, but I saw it at Barnes & Noble. This cover is just gorgeous. Like it's even more gorgeous in person. I can't even explain. And it was 50% off. It was 50% off. I was like, well, obviously I'm gonna buy it. It's honestly just a stunning book. Like the cover, the end pages, the naked hardback, it's just so beautiful. So beautiful. But anyway, what is this book about? It says it's been 3 years and 17 days since C woke up on the shore of an abandoned island. She has no idea how she came to be marooned or what her life was like before. She has only the rickety house by the sea, the android she built for company, and a single memory. Somewhere beyond the horizon, she has a sister, and it's up to C to escape the island and find her. A world away, 16-year-old STEM prodigy Casey is also looking to escape from the science she once believed in and from her home. The Eco-Cities, Earth's last unpolluted habitats, are meant to be a sanctuary for those deserving lineages, for those committed to planetary protection, but instead they're populated by people willing to do anything for refuge, even lie. So this just sounds really interesting. It's about sisters. I love anything to do with sisters. Also seems like it has like this dystopian setting, and it's gonna have some things to say about the environment. So really excited to give this one a try, and I'm glad I picked it up. I'm glad it was there, and like at 50% off, I couldn't say no. You know what I mean? And then I also picked up The Conductors by Nicole Glover, because this is a book that I have really been wanting to read, and I keep forgetting about it for whatever reason. It takes place in Reconstruction era Philadelphia, and we're following our 2 main characters, Hetty Rhodes and her husband Benji. They were conductors on the Underground Railroad, ferrying dozens of slaves to freedom with daring, cunning, and magic that draws its power from the constellations. With the war over, those skills find a new purpose as Hetty and Benji solve mysteries and murders that white authorities would otherwise ignore. So they're solving mysteries, murders, there's magic, set in Reconstruction era Philadelphia. It sounds so good, and I've heard pretty good things about it, so I'm really excited to have this now so that I can read it very soon. Yeah, it was definitely like one of my most anticipated books. I think it's gonna be really fun. And then the other book that I got at Barnes & Noble, which I was surprised to find because I think that this is like self-published or indie published, and that is The Atlas 6, and this is by Olivia Blake. So I've seen this going around on the internet, on Instagram, and people have really been enjoying it a lot, so I put it on my list. Definitely wanted to pick it up, and then I randomly saw it at Barnes & Noble. It wasn't even where it was supposed to be. It was just like randomly shoved on a shelf, and I was like, okay, I guess that was meant for me, thank you. I adore this cover. I think it's so simple, but at the same time, it's stunning. Do you know what I mean? I really love it. But this is about the Alexandrian Society. They are caretakers of lost knowledge from the greatest civilizations of antiquity, the foremost secret society of magical academicians in the world. Those who earn a place among the Alexandrians will secure a life of wealth, power, and prestige beyond their wildest dreams, and each decade. Only the 6 most uniquely talented magicians are selected to be considered for initiation. So we're following the latest recruit of 6 initiates. It says that they have 1 year to qualify for initiation, during which time they will be permitted preliminary access to the Society's archives and judged based on their contributions to various subjects of impossibility, time and space, luck and thought, life and death. 5 will be initiated, 1 will be eliminated, which that's some tough competition. You bring in 6 people and tell them one of you is not gonna make it. This just sounds really, really fun. I think it has like this dark academia type vibe, which I'm really excited about. I cannot wait to get to this one. And it also has, oh my goodness, I'm just now noticing this, but it has illustrations. Look at that. That's so cool. Definitely excited to check this one out. I think I have a plan for reading this coming up. The next 2 books here I picked up because I read Red at the Bone by Jacqueline Woodson last month, and I adored it so much. Just like one of my new favorite books of all time, and I know that if I didn't know before, I know now I need to read everything by Jacqueline Woodson because she's just incredible, and like her words just speak to me. So I picked up 2 more books by her. I know nothing about these. All I know is that they're by Jacqueline Woodson, and I'm gonna read them. So the first one is Harbour Me by Jacqueline Woodson. I believe that this is a middle grade or YA, either middle grade or YA. It says 6 kids discover the power of sharing their secrets and their stories. I'm not gonna read the synopsis. I just wanna go in unaware and discover everything about this. I know that it's gonna be beautiful because it's Jacqueline Woodson, and I'm really excited to give this a read. And then the other one I got by her is Locomotion, and this is actually told in verse, which is really fun. It's another middle grade, and it's about Lonnie Collins Motion, better known as Locomotion. And when he was 7, his life changed forever. Now his life is about to change again. His teacher is showing him ways to put his jumbled feelings on paper, and suddenly Lonnie has a whole new way to tell the world about his life, his little sister, and the fire that took his parents away. I know this is gonna make me cry. I just know it. Probably both of these will make me cry. I've never read a Jacqueline Woodson book and not cried, so it's gonna happen. So I'm really excited to have these. I cannot wait to read them. The next book I have here is another middle grade. Definitely trying to get as much middle grade in as I can. This is Rainbow Gray, and this is by Laura Ellen Anderson. This is stunning, by the way. I mean, just look at that cover. It's gorgeous. Look at the red sprayed edges. I love it. So I picked this up because I saw Jade from JD Ray Reads reading this in one of her vlogs, and she mentioned that Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin was actually a character in this book. That's Gavin. I just thought that was so cute. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy the book and I'm gonna read it. And it's an absolutely just stunning little middle grade. And I definitely think this is one that I could share with my son, my 9-year-old. I think we would have fun maybe reading it together. So we might do that. Okay, second to last, I have The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I picked this up. I've already read the entire series, but I didn't own them. I listened to them all on audio. It's honestly one of my favorite series. I absolutely loved it. When I first read The Bear and the Nightingale, I didn't love it as much as I had wanted to. I think I gave it 3 stars, and I've really been wanting to reread this series. I would love to read it like this winter, although I don't know if that's gonna happen. Maybe next winter, but I definitely want to reread this series very soon. And I didn't own any of the books, so I went into my local used bookstore this month, and when I saw this, I was like, yes, I will buy this and I will start my reread of The Bear and the Nightingale eventually, one day. I don't know when, but I'm really happy to have this now. The very last book that I have here is Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I have been obsessed with picking up books by Silvia Moreno Garcia ever since I read Mexican Gothic last year. I just keep picking up more of her books, and then I don't read them. So I really need to get around to reading them at some point. But this is actually a fantasy by her. She writes a lot in different genres. This is a fantasy. The book I read was horror. I have a romance by her on my shelves. She writes a lot of different genres, but I've never read a fantasy by her, so I'm really excited to read Gods of Jade and Shadow. This follows Cassiopeia. It takes place in Mexico during the Jazz Age, and it's inspired by Mexican folklore, and it's one that I've heard just really, really good things about. So I've desperately been wanting to read it, but I couldn't find a hardcover of it, and I looked and looked, and the hardcover was out of print for a while, and used copies were going for like $40 or more, and I was like, why? You know, why? And so I finally found a copy. It's a used copy, but it's in like excellent condition, and it was only like $10. So I picked it up, and I'm really excited to read this one hopefully soon. A standalone fantasy, which is always something that I'm looking for more of, because we know that like I'm constantly getting trapped and sucked into new fantasy series, and I just fantasy standalones are rare, but I love them so much. So very excited to get to this one. Hopefully I will really enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Mexican Gothic. And that is it. Those were all the books that I bought in the month of July. Definitely a smaller haul than I'm used to, but I'm really happy with what I bought. I'm really happy with the number of books I bought. I'm really happy with the books I bought, and I'm excited to get to all of them at some point. So that is it for this book haul. Let me know down in the comments if you have any thoughts or opinions on the books that I showed you. Let me know which ones you think I should get to ASAP, because you've read them and they were awesome, or just because you're interested to see what I think of them. I absolutely love hearing from you in the comments. But that is going to be it from me today. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.